Well, our next speaker is our principal speaker in this Congress is Dr. Nan-Yao. Dr. Nan-Yao is recognized internationally as an authority on termites and is known for his innovative approach of their population management. He authored and co-authored over 260 peer-reviewed articles and book chapters on termite biology and control. His studies on the population ecology of subterranean termites and slow-acting toxicants led to the development of a baiting system for population control of these cryptic pests. The laboratory screening criteria and field procedures he designed has been used worldwide for development of a new bait products as well as their confirmation of field efficacy. Dr. Su has served as a technical advisor relating to termite issues for different governments, such as New Zealand, China, and Vietnam. In 2009, he established the Nan-Yao Award for Innovation and Creativity in Entomology of the Entomological Society of America. Well, Dr. Su, this is a brief summary of your extensive career. Much more could be said, but time must be optimized in the online events. Above all, we wanted to thank you for your presence at Exposida Madera, and we are looking forward to hearing and seeing your presentation. As you wish, Dr. Su.
Thank you. So let's talk about the termite pest species in the world and their control option, and hope that we can cover a little bit about the Spanish species as well. Now, there are over 3,000 termite species in the world, probably more than 3,000. And their economic impact was estimated at 40 billion a year in 2010. And this was done by extracting the sales of insecticide use of termite in the United States, and then multiply the ratio of the cost versus how much the pest control company will charge the homeowner. And that will come and give us what its control cost is about in the United States. And from there, we then multiply repair cost, which is about 4 times more than control cost in average. And we come up with about $20 billion for United States only. And because we know the US termite market accounts for about 50% of the world market, the worldwide impact is had to be $40 billion annually. That's how we come up with when I did a calculation. But I have not done that. This figure is about 12 years old. I'm sure if we do this again, today's figure, it would not surprise me if the figure now is about 60 billion or so. Anyway, those are the enormous amount of money we spend to deal with the termite issue. Now, if you look at the 3,000 species of termite, though, only about 183 species are sort of like at one time or other mentioned to be pests. Okay, that's about 6%, not a lot of them. And about 80% of them are subterranean termite, and 20% of them are drywood termite. But if you look more carefully of these 183 species, though, only about half of them, 83 species, are caused what is called severe damage. Okay, again, the proportion is the same, 80 and 20. But these are the species what you're talking about, either round humidity or subterranean termites, round humidity or humidity. And for drywood termite, you have carrot humidity. And so today we are going to pretty much talk about those species here, Cryptotermis, Reticulotermis for subterranean termite, because I don't have a many higher termite, and Spain does not have either. But I understand you have some drywood termite species, they are Cryptotermis, so we are going to mention that as well. So let's move on with the drywood termite first. The drywood termite, this is the Cryptotermis rabis here, and this is Insicytermis. Interesting enough, Cryptotermis rabis is very widespread in the world. It found many places in the world, but it was originally come from northern Chile in a desert area. And my colleague, Dr. Sheffran, did a study on this one here. He found out that it was probably the Spanish, when the Spanish colonized South America, and they are moving a lot of things in and out of South America, the Spanish ship probably carried this species and spread to the rest of the world. So you have a very deep relationship with this species, okay? And this is inside termites minor, and it's native to California and Western US. But to become more and more important, I'm trying to bring this one up to your attention because now in the last 30 years, it was found in Japan and also China and also some place in Asia. And so it would not surprise me at all. One day you will find this species in Spain. So keep an eye on it. Now, Cryptotermis virus have a very distinct head capsule. This is a phlegmatic head. Their mandible is so regenerated that it's not almost non-functional, but they use this head as a plug to plug the entry hole into their nest to prevent predators such as ants from coming in. Inside termites soldier, however, have a more traditional pinch type of mandible. Now, development of the colony of drywood termite is very, very, very slow. If you have a male and female flying termite get into a piece of wood in your house, for the first 2 years, you probably don't see a lot of things going on. They're hidden behind the wall. You may see a small pile of what I call fecal pellet. I will show you later how it looks like. But most of the homeowners don't even notice they're there. Between 2 to 4 years, they'll expand a little bit. A pile may be a little bigger, but most homeowners still don't notice it. Between 4 to 5 years, the colony become bigger, and this is where the thing become more obvious because they will send out another batch of swarming flying termite out of the their nest, and now the homeowner become more noticed. They say something's flying in my house, and they will also see this larger pile of the sawdust type of thing around there. But by the time they notice this, the problem here is that these swarming termites already fly into the other part of the house and establish another small colony. So you end up the many small colonies already exist all over inside the house. And this is the big problem with the drywood termite, okay? But most of people still try to ignore it, wait until like 8 years later when the colony becomes huge, and then larger swarms start coming out. By then, it's kind of out of hand. Definitely have many small colonies in the house already. And they'll find many of those sawdust type of pile. And they actually, if you look at the magnifying lens, it looks like this. It's a fecal feces. They extract every single droplet of water from the wood and totally bone dry pallet with a 6 hexagon shape. And they will kick those pellets out from the nest from this hole here like this. And this hole usually exists on vertically of this one here. They kick this thing from the same hole all the time. So you end up with one pile like this one here. And this is the one telltale sign of the drywood termite infestation. But to find out where they are is not that easy. You know, you can dig them out. You see something like this one here, but there are so many small colonies all over the house. Sometimes you really cannot catch them all. You can use a very sophisticated detection device like this one here. This is the small radar machine, so to speak, a motion sensor. They'll sense anything move behind the wall. So you can see the termite behind the wall or not. This is an acoustic emission device which detects the tiny sound. If termite move behind the wall, you detect the sound, you will know it's there or not. But even with this type of device, you don't know where they are because you cannot have access to every piece of wood in the house. Unless your house is very small, then it's okay. But most of the house people live have many hidden wood behind the wall. And those places are simply beyond our access to even detect them. And that is the reason why most of the time when talking about drywood termite, we use a whole structure fumigation. Okay, this is the most commonly being used. However, if you think only part of your house is infested, not the entire house, it may be used to compartmentalize that area and only treat a portion of the house. In a very lucky and rare scenario, if you think the infestation is a very beginning stage, you only have 1 or 2 colonies, very small colony there, and you can find them. You can just drill a hole inside the infested wood, shoot any pesticide inside there, you'll kill them. This is called local treatment. But this is very risky, very rare, because again, you may miss many infestation in the house. So be careful if you want to use the localized treatment. So to summary is that if only a piece of wood is infested by drywood termite, and you're sure this is the case, you can go shoot the pesticide in here and you get rid of the problem. If you think only the garage is infested, you can just like seal off this area and do either coal or heat or whatever other treatment to treat the entire this part of the house. However, if infestation rather old and the house is big and infestation all over, the only way you can kill them off is to confine the entire whole structure and use fumigant to shoot them in and kill everybody. The fumigant will take the part of least resistant to diffuse inside the wood. All you need is a tiny hole, and the fumigant will go inside the wood and kill everybody. To do this, you have to confine the entire structure by top. And this is to create the airtight chamber, so to speak, on this one-story house, or sometimes the building could be high-rise building. And this is the kind of thing you have to do. Or a small boat type of thing. And then after you wrap them well, you shoot the gas inside there, and you have to monitor. And oftentimes that you put a lot of labor to seal off the entire structure, but there's no guarantee it does not leak. It could be somewhere still leaking somewhere, and especially windy day, the tent was flapping all over, and the gas will start to leak. And when that happens, you have not have enough concentration, and you will not do the control. And therefore, monitoring the concentration is very important. You have to come back every couple hours to make sure the concentration maintains certain have a fumigant in there. If you escape your leaking going on, you have to shoot more gas in to maintain it. And that is always a big issue in the drywood termite treatment. Okay, so those are drywood termite treatment options. Let's move on to talk about the subterranean termite. Subterranean termite, you have Coptotermis species is probably one of the most important pest genus in the world. We have a Formosanus found in China and Taiwan, Japan, US, and Vietnam. South Africa probably no longer exists. Gastroi is even more widespread. It's originally come from Southeast Asia. Now it's found in Taiwan, China, US, Philippines, Guam, India, Mauritius Island, West Indies, and Brazil. I'm sure there's some more that we don't even notice. Those two species, Formosanus and Gastroi, are considered the two most economically important subterranean termite species in the world. But we also have other Acinasiformes in Australia, and then or some species in Mexico, Central and South America as well. Okay, let's talk about the species you are interested in, which is the Reticulotermis. Now, Reticulotermis flavipes in Europe, years ago when they first discovered in France, they did not know this is flavipes. They called that the Reticulotermis santonensis. Now, in recent DNA studies show that santonensis is actually flavipes. So santonensis species already disappear. Now we know this species in the native eastern continental United States now is found in Canada, also in Chile, in France, Spain, Italy, and some other European country as well. Rucifagus is native to European continent, as originally discovered in France. Now we know they probably have in Spain, Italy, and Greece, and other European countries, and Mid East, and so on and so forth. But in the US, we also have other Reticulotermis species. Reticulotermis hesperus is quite a serious pest in West Coast and California. Virginicus is in southern United States, and Hagenii in a little more north. Spiradus is a very serious pest in Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. And in China, we have at 3 species of Reticulotermis. So Reticulotermis also a very important group of subterranean termite, pests. Now, unlike drywood termite, who live in a piece of wood, subterranean termite live in the soil. So if you go inspect the house, looking around the wall near to the soil, and you will find this kind of termite tunnel connecting from the soil into your house, either exterior or interior. So you need to understand when you see things like this, the subterranean termite population is underneath the house in soil. And we need to know how they look like. or what the extent of the colony is. So to do this, we used to do this type of study called market capture study. And this is the parking lot of the high-rise building near Miami area. And we will find this kind of planter with the soil. And we know termites in the soil underneath the concrete. So we put a wooden stake like this, and we go check them every now and then. And you just kind of move with your foot to kick them around. And then if you are in a stake is infested by termite, looks like this, you pull them off and dig the hole around the stake, put a piece of wood inside there, and put a PVC pipe collar surrounded to create a void so you can access to this piece of soil, piece of wood. Then you cover it up. Now, termite will start eating this piece of wood, and we can collect a large number of termites to a lab, like this one here, and we can mark them into different color. In this particular case, we mark them into red termite. And then we release termite back to this trap from which we collected from, so that we can trace the movement of this red termite in soil. So I'll give you an example of this building here. We did a study. So X is one of the wooden stake. We put it around the planter. And this is the high-rise building. This is swimming pool complex. And then circle here is one of those trap with a piece of wood, and termites are eating those wood. So for example, if I collect T7, termite from T7, send them into red color, I put it back to T17, I'm sorry, T17 here. And then I wait for about 1 to 2 weeks, and we check the trap, all the trap in this entire area to see if any red termite will appear or not, okay? So example, if I find even more than one red termite appear in T88, I know T88 and T17 have to be connected, right? So in the next cycle, then we will send everybody collected from T88 and T17, put them back again, and then to see where they appear. Repeat the cycle 3 times, okay? If they are connected, if those traps are connected here and there, you confirm it. So I happen to, that one colony extending from here like this. And I happen to take a picture looking down like this one here. This is swimming pool complex, this intercoastal water with like a canal. So this yellow zone looks like that. So distance between here and there is about 125 meters. So you can see there's a large colony of Formosan subterranean termite living underneath the parking lot and infesting this building, and the building I'm standing at the same time. That is the extent of subterranean termite, some species anyway. So we did this type of study against many colonies of the different species, and this is the data we have. With the Formosan subterranean termite, typically you have 1 to 10 million termite per colony. The foraging distance can go up to 100, 125 meters, and territory can go up to about 1 acre. Reticular termites probables usually have 1,000, 100,000 termites to million. Some big one we found is 5 million termites per colony, still sizable in the colony. And foraging distance can be from 50 to 75 meters, okay? And territory can be about 2/3 acres. So if you have a house that is infested by subterranean termite, try to imagine there are many, many small nesting structures in the soil here, and they're all interconnected by the tunnel, like this yellow line here. They're all connected, and termites are running around back and forth. It could be 100,000 or million termites running around back and forth there. The distance between here and here could be 50 meters to 100 meters, depending on the species we have. So that is a situation you have to understand when you deal with the subterranean termite. You're not just dealing with the termite here. You need to think about there's a colony underneath there. Now, the typical control option for subterranean termite are 2 options exist. Both of them are trying to protect the structure. You have a barrier technique. The objective here is to exclude soil-borne termite from the structure, and you use chemical spray underneath to create a barrier to exclude termite. You use a pre-construction, post-construction, as a trenching spray, or drill injection to create a barrier so the termite don't come in. One thing I need you to know is that the population here still alive. They will not be killed if you do something like this. that is really one of the problems with certain termites treatment is that if the chemical barrier broke, sometimes they can go right back at you. So just keeping that one in mind. Now, we usually use about 39 kilograms of the insecticide per hectare for this type of application. Just keep that in mind. Let's move on, talk about population management approach using the objective here to eliminate termite colony using bait. And I should show you before, if you have termite around in the soil here, you put some wooden stake or anything, something they can eat, they'll come and eat them. So the idea here is why don't we put something for them to eat so we can kill the colony? And this study has been done many, many times. And then we find out that we usually can use about 0.065 kilogram per hectare, which is 600 times less pesticide than this soil termiticide technique, okay? There are many, many studies prove and demonstrate the efficacy of this type of technique. I was the first one to publish in 1994. And since I've been tracking who did the kind of study like this one here up to 2003. So this 10-year period of time, we have a 39 study documented elimination of at least 186, 193 baited colony, which is 90% success rate in these countries and many species. So we know bait will kill the colony. But one thing I want you to understand is that early on bait are not like this at all. Today, it's all changed. Today's active ingredient used in the professional bait product for subplanetary control are hexafluoromidone, normofluoromidone, novaluron, diflubenzuron, chlorfluorozole. And if you look at carefully, all of them are called chitin synthesis inhibitor, which is a compound to prevent termite from forming chitin. Now, the outer shell of the insect is made of material called chitin. If they cannot make the chitin, they cannot successfully molt. And that is the entire trick. Okay, so these chitin sensitive or CSI are non-repellent, they are slow acting, and the lethal time is dose independent, which is very important because regardless of how much they eat, termite not affected until they try to molt. And when they try to molt, this is going to happen. And they're stuck in there and they die. But recently, we found another reason why chitin synthesis inhibitor work and how it works. It's based on one of my graduate students' study, by Gary Makaka. We published a paper. What she found out is that when termites are ready to molt, they actually return to the central nest near king and queen. They don't just molt anywhere. They have to return back to the central nest. So when they inject CSI, what's going to happen is that CSI affected termite will die near king and queen. And very soon, queen and queen have to move to somewhere else to avoid the dead body. But the next batch of termite try to molt, we come back to king and queen again, and then very soon king and queen will be surrounded by dead body again, they have to move again. And this cycle repeats itself until the entire colony is eliminated. So graphically, this is how it looks like. Let's assume this is a central nest here. The king and queen are here. The individual consume bait with the CSI. When they try to molt, they come back. They come back. They come back. They come back. And they all die there. Okay, very soon king and queen is surrounded by dead body. And they have to move. Again, the next cycle, another individual try to molt. Instead of going back there, now they will go back here because they're the king and queen is. And then they will surrounded by dead body again. And king and queen have to move again. And this cycle repeats itself until the entire thing collapses. This is the reason why only CSI type of bait are capable of eliminating entire colony. So anyway, just let me, let me just, I have only 3 minutes left over, so let me summarize what's happening here with, to compare two techniques we have in terms of efficacy and environmental impact. For soil insecticide application, here you try to exclude soil-borne termite from the structure, but the population here remain alive. And you use about 39 kilograms of insecticide per hectare to achieve this. Moreover, typical insecticide being used today, for example, fipronil toxicity is about 97 milligram per kilogram in terms of rat oral, LD50. Bait is used to eliminate substantial termite population colony underneath there. We use 0.065 kilogram per hectare, which is 600 times less than soil termiticide. Moreover, novofluminon, which is a typical active ingredient used for termite bait product, LD50 is about 3,160 milligram per kilogram, which is 33 times less toxic than fipronil. So if you compare efficacy-wise, efficacy is one exclusion, the other is elimination. Environmental impact, about 19,546 times less impact for bait compared to soil insecticides. So I just want you to be aware of this figure. This is the data, and then you make a decision what you want to do. Thank you very much.